good afternoon. I'm Mahalia Joseph and you're watching C News Live at noon.
I'm Vidya Rampal with sports.
Well, Vidya, I know there's a sad story coming out of sport. Could you just share a little bit before we get into our newscast?
Yeah, very sad story. Only 6 people have survived a plane crash in Colombia where a Brazilian football team out to play the match of their life. The entire team has been wiped out.
Okay, thank you so much, Vidya. And of course, we will get more of that story in our sportscast. Topping the news at this hour, the People's National Movement has declared the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation as their own. Results last night from yesterday's local government election showed the PNM and UNC had tied with 4 seats each in the corporation. At a press conference at Balise House a short while ago, PNM Chairman Franklin Can said based on the fact that PNM holds the popular vote and incumbency, the corporation should remain under the party's control. Mr. Can also said that based on the changes to the Municipal Corporation Act prior to the 2013 local government election, the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation should also remain PNM. And Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says the low voter turnout in yesterday's local government election was not an indictment of his government. After the results came in on Monday evening, the Prime Minister was quizzed on the significant drop in voters.
It is not surprising that in a period of shortages like we are in now, that we would have some discontent, and we simply appeal to the population to understand our national circumstance and understand that we may not be able to do all the things that we would like to do, but what we would like them to do is pay attention. Now, whatever resources are available to the country, that those resources are made available in the best possible way so that we can do the best with what we have.
The Prime Minister was asked if the method of campaigning pushed voters away. However, he believes the turnout was in line with previous local government election trends.
In motivating people to come out to vote. I don't know the reason why they didn't come out to vote. Some may not have chosen to come out because the election is not important. Among a lot of our supporters, they will tell you that local government is not important. There are others who felt they didn't get something and therefore they're not going to get it by voting. There are all kinds of reasons. But low poll in local government has been a traditional thing.
3 men were shot dead in separate incidents last night. 28-year-old Renwick Gomez was at the garage of his home at Jitman Drive, Aruca at around 2 p.m. when a gunman opened fire on him. He was hit in the upper body and was taken to the Eric Williams Medical Science Complex, where he died while receiving treatment 3 hours later. Police said Gomez had prior brushes with the law. Meanwhile, in Enterprise, 28-year-old Junior Sanderson Lewis was standing near the Early Childhood Center in Bagaloo Trace when a NZE Toyota Corolla with 3 occupants pulled up alongside him. The men in the vehicle opened fire. Lewis was killed on the spot. Lewis was not said to be directly involved in illegal activity, but was close with questionable characters in the area. In the third incident, local EDM and hip-hop music producer Kwesi Clausel was gunned down in Laventille shortly after 7 p.m. His body was found opposite Gate 50 Picton Road in a truck. Clausel, 26, of Quarry Road, Gonzales, was known in the local music industry as Classic Clausel. He was a father of 1. Police are struggling to find a motive for Clausel's shooting, as he was not well known to them. Clausel's murder was the first recorded in the Laventille area for 3 months. And you're watching the C News Live Report at noon. Remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest news on our website at ctvtt.com, or you can check out our Facebook and Twitter pages at C News Live. Now let's return to the local government election results. And more than 1,061,000 people were registered to vote in the election for 137 seats across the 14 local government corporations. However, it's not known how many people actually cast their ballot since the EBC hasn't officially published its results. 314 candidates and 7 political parties took part in the election, with 4 independent candidates. According to C News Live reporters based across the country all day on Monday, it wasn't the usual long lines compared with a general election, but station supervisors in central Trinidad were in particular said they were surprised when an expected rush didn't materialize.
Local government polls tend to be low under all circumstances because the majority of the electorate tend to view local government as a secondary kind of poll. And therefore, we are very happy with, for those who came out to vote, they chose the PNM resoundingly. We got, how many seats we got?
50.
We got
83.
We won 83 of the 137 seats, and the UNC won 54. So I will call that a handsome victory for which we are very grateful.
Though a general day without major incidents, there were reports of police having to caution PNM and UNC supporters at a polling station in Charleville for canvassing too close to the voting venue. The UNC have also threatened to take legal action over changes made to voting at a polling station in California Point Lisas. So what do the results stack up like? Port of Spain, 12 for the PNM, 0 for the UNC. San Fernando, 9 for PNM, 0 for UNC. Arima, 7 PNM, 0 UNC. Chaguanas, 3 PNM and 5 for the UNC. Point Fortin, 6 for the PNM and 0 for the UNC. Cuva Tabaquite, Talparo, 0 PNM, 14 UNC. Diego Martin, 10 for the PNM and 0 for the UNC. Mayaro, Rio Claro, 2 for the PNM and 4 for UNC. Pinal Debe, 0 PNM and 9 UNC Princestown, and 2 for the PNM in Princestown, 4 rather for Sangre Grande for PNM and 4 for UNC. In Sao Laventil, 11 for the PNM, 2 for the UNC. In Siparia, you have 4 for PNM, 5 for UNC, and in the Tunapuna Piaco region, you have 14 for the PNM and 2 for the UNC. The People's National Movement has declared the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation as their own. Results last night from yesterday's local government election showed the PNM and UNC had tied with 4 seats in the corporations. At a press conference at Balize House a short while ago, PNM Chairman Franklin Khan said based on the fact that PNM holds the popular vote and incumbency, the corporation should remain under the party's control.
This press conference is dedicated to say that we are declaring a victory in the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation based on the fact that we have the popular vote and we have the incumbency of Mr. Terry London. And Mr. Terry London will continue to function as the chairman of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation until such time that the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation could elect a new chairman, if at all.
Mr. Khan also said that based on the changes to the Municipal Corporation Act, prior to the 2013 local government election, the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation should also remain PNM.
The PM position is as follows. Seeing that the spirit of the law with the revision of the Municipal Corporation Act with this election of aldermen was based on proportional representation, it is only a natural corollary of that situation that the popular vote should have a say in who runs the corporation, because that is the spirit in which the legislation was written.
And the UNC chairman David Lee says the results in yesterday's local government election were proof there was no stopping the party's political leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar from returning to govern the country. He was speaking last night after preliminary results showed the PNM capturing 83 electoral districts to win a total of 7 regional corporations, and the UNC copying 54 districts to gain 6 corporations. In her address to supporters who convened at the party's Cuva headquarters, Mrs. Persad-Bissessar declared victory for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Dion Batiste has more.
Tonight, I believe, is a victory for the people of Trinidad. We asked that the people send a message to the government that there was so much pain and suffering that the time for change had come.
Mistress Prasad Bisesa said her party had asked the people to send a message to the Rowley administration. The message, the time for change has come. Based on the election results, she said the message was sent, but it remained to be seen if it would be received and acted upon by the government.
And we trust that the Rowley government receives the message. And having received that message from the people, that the Rowley government will take the necessary steps to ease the pain and suffering of the ordinary people, of the small man throughout our country.
The opposition leader pledged her continued support to all citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, promising to keep a close eye on the People's National Movement government.
You must receive the message, you must deal with the small man, you must help the small woman, you must help the ordinary people in our country. And I pledge today that I will continue to fight for the small man in Trinidad and Tobago. I pledge that we will continue to monitor the performance of the Rowley government to expose them where necessary.
Mistress Prasad Bisesa thanked those present for their continued support of her party and promised to work for the people of the country and to hold Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley and his government accountable. Dion Batiste, C News.
Well, joining us on the line is David Lee, the chairman of the UNC, who can speak to us more on the PNM's declaration of victory in Sangre Grande. Good afternoon, Dr. Lee. What do you make of this, and have you contacted the EBC?
We are very disturbed by the statement by the chairman of the PNM, Mr. Franklin Khan. I think he was being very presumptuous by making that statement which he did at his press conference, because presently we have filed recounts in 2 seats in the Sangre Grande area, Sangre Grande Northeast and Sangre Grande Northwest, and one of those seats is less than 45 votes, so that we have asked for a recount in those 2 districts. And so I'm very surprised that Mr. Khan could have declared control of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation when the EBC has not even declared certain corporations and districts are still going on. So we are very disturbed by that, but we are prepared to challenge anything in the court of law until such time that the EBC declares, the status of the corporations.
So, Dr. Lee, moving forward, can any legal action be taken? I mean, it's less than 24 hours after the election.
I think Mr. Khan is really, the PNM is showing signs of desperation for them to come out to declare a corporation based on popular vote. And even that is not known as yet what is the actual number of votes that were cast for that Sangre Grande corporation. But for our information, we consider it's too close to call as far as the popular vote, and I think the results will show that at the end of the day that we are assuming that we would get we would assume that we would be very close in getting the popular vote.
Okay, thank you so much. There we were just speaking with Dr. David Lee, the chairman of the UNC. Earlier this morning on Good Morning Trinidad, we spoke with UAE political analyst Dr. Bishnu Raghunath, who explained the election results on Monday night, where both parties said they'd won.
Minority of the population has spoken, but they have spoken, and the fact of the matter is that both parties will claim victory based on their spin doctors and their spin on it. But the fact is that the country moves forward. Whether the country wins or loses, I think that is for us to understand as we move forward. But clearly both parties will claim victory.
Dr. Raghunath also explained how the 4-4 tie-up between the PNM and UNC in Sangre Grande Corporation could be determined by an albeit very primitive method.
He has moved from 6 to 6.5, if we call that movement. Of course, that would be determined by, believe it or not, by the drawing of straws. So even after the people have voted, we're down to simply drawing a straw to determine who controls a regional corporation. But that is the reality of our politics as it stands right now.
Even though voter turnout was extremely low by initial accounts, the patterns of voting remained the same, leaving the non-traditional parties.
We saw was the return to the two traditional voting blocks, and people voted according to their what they will call their home ground. The unfortunate part, and I think the 6.5 that we could talk about, as opposed to the 7.5, is really about who did not vote, and this is the lowest ever poll that we have ever had in Trinidad and Tobago.
An investigation is ongoing into the murder of a 29-year-old midwife from Tobago who was brutally slain on Monday, whilst a 2-year-old baby slept next to her. It said 29-year-old Crystal Tobias Busby, who was a registered nurse at the Scarborough General Hospital, got into an altercation with a male relative at her Plymouth home around 3 a.m. The man stabbed her several times but left the child unharmed. Now before we go, let's have a look at the weather. And there'll be cloudy periods accompanied by light to moderate showers and rain in a few areas. There is the chance of 1 or 2 of these showers becoming heavy and thundery in a few confined areas. Gusty winds and street or flash flooding may be expected, and heavy downpours and thunder showers. And that's how we end our C News Live update. I'm Mahalia Joseph.
And I'm Pedro Ranthal. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll have more for you tomorrow.